welcome to this week's Cattywampus Podcast. I'm Kurt Driscoll, your host. I got my boy up in here today. Mr. Billick is with us, Mr. Jonathan Billick. And
you got the goat on today.
The goat is here. It might be a pig, it might be a goat or a cow. We'll see. You tell us, give us some comments, and you let us know, is it a goat or cow or pig? But man, thanks for being here.
No, I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah, man. You're not really happy to be here.
I'm super anxious.
That's what I said. It's no bullshit. There's nothing excited about being here over here. You're like, dude, do I really have to come? I'm like, yeah, you really need to come.
No, I was gonna actually ask for a sub host because I know KD knows how to pull it on my
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna. He's like, can Little B? So explain to me what. So y'all called Braden. First of all, we met Vision Warriors.
Right.
Will MacArthur's Rotarian. Heard me speak one day. Your mom and him are like work excuse me, work wife. So your mom and him are like work wife, work husband. Heard me speak, and she was complaining probably about something stupid you were doing, and said, "Oh, you should call Kirk." And so we met at the kitchen table at Vision Warriors one day. Is where we met. But
yeah,
in the dining room. That was a great meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was super fun for me.
I can imagine. So. Yeah. But needless to say, from there, and we can talk through all that a little bit later, but you had two roommates. So it was one big B and one little B? Or how did y'all go? Because it was...
Well, I had 40 roommates.
40, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'll start from the beginning, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't want to come to Vision Warriors at all. Yeah. I didn't want to be there. I was going to just hang out for a couple of months and skip out and... find a bottle, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But no one would let me check out. Like, I remember Christian Jansen, probably shouldn't be using names, but
yeah.
Anyway.
He's open. We do it.
Okay, so anyway.
Christian, we just gave you a shout out, Most High Media.
Hashtag Most High Media.
Yeah.
But anyway, he saw me kind of just coasting by, just doing my own thing, not doing any work, and he wouldn't let me. Like, I remember him just like berating into my door every day, and he's just like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm watching TV, man, chilling. Like, I got to work tonight." And he's like, "There's so many other things you could be doing." And I'm like, just like rolling my eyes. I'm like, yeah, I know. And still wouldn't do anything about it. Like, I just go back to my program or whatever. And so Brandon and Braden, I was kind of like getting overweight and unhealthy. Like, I had been out drinking for months and eating crap, and like, I was getting fat.
Yeah.
And these guys wanted to start getting fit too, and so they talked me into getting a gym membership with them. And I was actually working construction at the time up in Brazelton, so like, I would get home at like 6-7 o'clock at night. I didn't want anything to do with these two guys or the gym, and they would be there waiting for me when I got home, like, let's go. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
And Brandon, who's kind of like the goofball of our group, he was like, "Oh, it's the tripod." And we're like, please don't tell anyone that, that we're the tripod.
Yeah.
But and then Baby B, Braden, he was the young guy, and like, I just started calling him Baby B from day one, I think.
Yeah.
And he's been that ever since. So
Baby B's good dude. So is Brandon. So man, I've enjoyed getting to know you over the years.
Yeah, no, you took a little special interest into me too. I'm not sure why, but you didn't let me slack on anything. I remember that. Like, you would see me at the kitchen table, the same thing. You'd be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Just hanging out. So I go to work." And you're like, "Cool, come with me." And I'm like, "Why?" You're like, "We'll put you to work. I got some things you can do." And I'm like, "All right, cool, whatever." So yeah, no one at Vision Warriors would let me slack on anything from day one. Which I needed.
Yeah, your mama kept you up too, didn't she? She wasn't going to let you slack.
Yeah, I mean, my mom and my brother, I'm very grateful for them because they were done with me at that point. It was rock bottom. And so, it took me a couple weeks to get in, but I kept showing up, and, my mom was bringing me up because I wasn't driving at the time. And, my brother, like, if not for my brother and my mom, like, I probably wouldn't be here, to be honest.
Yeah. So. Yeah, man. Well, I'm grateful for you coming today.
I appreciate it.
And I think the your cattywampus moment, any of us that are in recovery, we got plenty of them, right? But I think if, when someone starts watching this show and they see that you're in recovery, then they think it's going to be, a recovery type kind of talk.
Yeah.
And that cattywampus moment. But I know today probably be pretty hard to share. And so, I just would encourage you, because there's going to be someone watching this that is going to be in recovery and struggling with something. And they're just going to be like, well, screw it. I'm just going to, why keep down this journey?
Yeah.
Right. And they can watch this, man, and see the way that you've battled through this, man. And it's inspiring for me, to see. So I know there's someone that's going to be watching it that's like, man, if he did it, I can do it. Like, if he's doing it, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And to give that hope. So
I hope so. That's kind of why I'm here today.
Yeah. No. So I know it's not because you're just excited to be on camera.
No, I actually wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but I got stage fright.
So it's not going to work.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So how would you describe, or how would you want to tell everybody your cattywampus moment here?
Oh man. I've kind of struggled being an outcast my whole life. And I took my first drink, I think, when I was 13. And that was the first time, I didn't think about, being an outcast or not fitting in and, whatnot. And I chased that feeling for years, 2 decades. But it was probably, after college, around 2005 or 2006, where, things just kind of started getting out of control and never really recovered. I was just drinking all the time. I'm a professional bartender, so I had unlimited access to booze, and I was lacking integrity. Was drinking all the time, and just not taking care of business, and that's I was hurting the people that were around me that were close to me, and I think that's when it just unraveled. Yeah. Getting in trouble with the laws, hurting people, and I didn't see any end in sight, to be honest.
Yeah. And you come in, you get cleaned up. You lived at Vision Warriors how long? How long were you there?
Actually, 2 years.
2 years. So you're with us 2 years there. Some great memories there. You had you spoke. We had I think it was actually a Rotary event. You were my closer. You were my closer at that on a Friday morning. It was It was your birthday.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So no, you can't use those excuses now. Well. So, but it was your birthday right there. Was what you were 29? It was at 29, or how old are you today?
I'm 36 today.
36 days. So it may have been
37 on Sunday.
This Sunday.
Yeah.
So fast forward, all that's going well. You come over this big hump. Get sober, you're getting your life put back together, and what happens?
Oh, man, a string of events. And that's I felt like I kind of got called to come back to VW. Life hits hard, and that's why, I came back and I told everyone to kind of appreciate their time there. I moved out with Baby B and Brandon, the tripod. Please...
The tripod.
But anyway, we got an overpriced 3-bedroom apartment in Alpharetta, and to be honest with you, I think we just weren't ready. And I was doing well. I was happy. I was fit. I was in the best shape of my life. I was running races. I was spending 4 or 5 hours in the gym a day. Life was going too great. And one of my roommates, unfortunately relapsed, or to be honest, fortunately, because he's doing amazing now. But that was a tough thing for me to process, because I was, for the first time in my life, giving a, what's the word? You got to help me out here. Intervention.
Yep.
Instead of having one.
Yeah. That's a little different scenario, isn't it?
Yeah, it was definitely different. But I'm fortunate that we did was he's like one of my best friends in the world.
He's
and he's
killing
doing amazing. Yeah. So that was different. But then, all of a sudden we're stuck with a little extra rent, and we were already kind of scrounging by. But anyway, Baby B's gone now, and he was my dude. Like, I got no one to play FIFA with now. And the other leg of the tripod is a goofball. And so, fortunately, we were able to break our lease. But I'll get to that. But we were coming home from the gym one day, and walk in the door, and I'm doing my laundry, and then Brandon's in the room with me, and he, I don't remember this part, but I got told later. He said, all of a sudden, I just started stumbling across the room, and I nosedived into the granite countertop, and broke my nose, and was having a seizure, bit through my lip, and I woke up in a pool of blood with like 5 EMS guys around me, and I was like, "What's going on?" And they were like, "Dude, you just had a seizure," and I was like, "No, I don't think so."
And they're like, "No, we're pretty sure."
They're like, "Yeah, look around," and I'm like, there's blood all over me, and I'm sitting on the ground, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm just trying to finish my laundry, and I got to get to bed, man. I got to work in the morning," and so they're like, "No, you're gonna come with us to the hospital," and I was like, "I'm not going to the hospital, dude. I can tell you that much." So I've always been a little hard-headed, but anyway, I sent them off and finished folding my laundry. My mom would have been proud. And then I went to bed, and Brandon kept trying to talk me into going to the hospital, and I was like, "Dude, no shot. Like, I don't even know if my insurance is good right now. Let me check into that. We'll hit it tomorrow if we need to. I got some super glue in the bathroom. We're good."
Yeah.
And I went to bed, and then I woke up because I had bit through my lip, and there was a hole in it, and I didn't know, and I just was continuously bleeding throughout the night. Excuse me. And so I ended up waking up, and then I stumbled over to Backy's room and woke him up, and I'm like, "Hey, man, can you take me to the hospital to get a stitch in this? Because I can't sleep with this leaking all over me." And he was like, "Yeah, all right."
Meanwhile, the EMS had already suggested.
Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't going to go. Well, listen, I got a free ride from Backy.
Yeah, I hear you.
The EMS is about $3,000 a pop.
Yep.
But so we get to the hospital, and they were like, "Your nose is broken too," and I'm like, "That explains a lot. It feels like it."
Yeah.
And so like they take me back to get an MRI to set my nose, and that's when they found a brain tumor. And I'm sitting there for probably 8 or 9 hours, and I'm like, "Yo, what's going on? Like, can we just, like, I've got, like I said, super glue. That's what we do behind the bar."
Yeah.
I was like, "I can just go home and take care of this myself." Like, I didn't know this was going to turn into an event. And they were like, "Just wait here for a little bit. There's going to be a doctor to come see you." And I'm like, "Okay, just give me some thread. I'll stitch it up myself." Anyway,
with no notice of what they found. You had no idea what they found.
No idea. I'm just sitting there waiting, and they've already known. But I get it. No one wants to drop that news. But anyway, the doctor finally comes in, and he's like asking me all these intrusive questions, just like, "How you been feeling lately?" Like great. Like, I'm in the best shape of my life. I just ran like 6, 7, 8 miles and weightlifted and did my laundry. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
But he sits me down. He's like, "You've got a brain tumor," and I'm like, "Okay, but I got a brain, right?" And he's, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, well, this is all right then." And I'm like, "So, what's going on? Like, what's the next step? What's trying to process this in my head without breaking down."
What time is this? Middle of the night or is this more?
Probably 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And yeah, probably 3 a.m. And I'm just still kind of like, I gotta work in the morning. Let me wrap this up. But I'm sitting there, and I got diagnosed with skin cancer in 2015. So I'm already okay, so it's melanoma, and melanoma is notorious for traveling to the brain. So I've kind of went through this whole thing in my head really quick, and I'm just like, "What's next?" And they're like, "We're going to move you to the ICU. And I'm like, "Didn't you hear me? I got to work in the morning." But they wouldn't take that for an answer. So I'm going to ICU. Meanwhile, I called my mom, and she picked up. I don't know how it's it's one of those things, like she just like randomly heard her phone and picked up, and I'm just like, hey mom, and she's like, yeah, and I told her first thing, I said, just to start off, I want you to know I'm okay, everything is okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, where are you? And I'm like, in the hospital. And she said, did you have a relapse?
Yeah.
Like, no, but I could use a drink right now. And she's like, what's going on? And I was like, so they're transferring me to the ICU. They found a brain tumor, and they're not going to let me out of here. And then, fast forward 3 weeks, reel it back in. She's freaking out, obviously. Meanwhile, this is prime COVID time. COVID's like at the height. So
yeah.
Brandon wasn't allowed to come in the hospital with me. No one can come visit me in the ICU. Miraculously, my mom picked up. My girlfriend and I had just gotten in a fight, and she had been refusing to return my text or calls for this whole night. And I sent a text, and I said, listen, I know you're really upset with me right now, but I really need you to answer the phone. And then she called right away, and she's like, what's going on? Probably thinking the same thing, like, oh, he's drinking.
Yeah.
But, and I said, all right, listen, I'm really sorry for what I said earlier, but I need you to come to the hospital and bring food right now. And she's like, what's going on? I'm like, just come down here, and like, I'll explain later. And she wouldn't take that answer. So I was like, all right, listen, they found a brain tumor. And she's like, just starts breaking down immediately. And I'm like, listen, this is okay. It's not okay. But I'm like, trying to calm her down because, I loved her. And this has been the worst part is I hate seeing people suffer from what I'm going through. But, yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It's hard. It's hard. Like the greatest gift I've been given this year is knowing that my mom doesn't have to worry about me anymore. And, I find peace in that. And so, she wants to be there for me for every appointment and everything I'm going through. And it's hard for me because I don't like seeing her worry about me. She did that for a long time. But, I get it. She's worried. But I just don't want her to worry anymore because, like, I'm okay. I got a little bump on the head and a minor brain surgery, but I'm okay.
The minor brain surgery. They cut you ear to ear, That's not necessarily minor.
They only took my skull off for 8 hours.
They
put it right back on. It's a minor brain surgery. But yeah, anyway.
I love it though. So now anytime you forget something, it's your go-to. It's like, brain surgery.
So the part of the brain that I had surgery on is the frontal lobe. Short-term memory completely shot. Personality changes, like fatigue. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Like I wake up sometimes from a blink and I don't know where I'm at. It's crazy. Someone's kind of like drinking.
So you don't have to write yourself notes, or you have to write you've been prepping for your whole life.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're not right.
It's just like every day is a different battle, man.
And it is for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. But choosing to battle it sober.
Right.
Right. Where our defense, to things of this in our past is like, hey man, I can make this. Hey man, I can make this disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can numb this really easy. I can make this tolerable. I don't have to worry about this. And so it's there. When you were sharing the other day, it was pretty funny because it was the height of COVID.
Yeah.
And you're in the hospital, and you got a visitor in there, and how so you're laying there. What's it feel?
Man, a million thoughts are going through my head at this point because I have no idea what's going on, right? Like no doctors are talking to me. No one's talking to me. I'm just been put in an ICU in this glass box, which is really freaky.
They were keeping you from escaping.
Yeah, no, which they didn't do a very good job at. But, but anyway, my mom can't get in. Lisa can't get in. And I'm just sitting there like, when do we eat? You know, I just got out of the gym. I had a protein shake on the way here, but I'm starving. And all of a sudden, the plastic drapes like open up. I think they were under construction or something at the time. And who else but Kirk Driscoll walks in like, "Hey, man," and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I heard you got a little bump on the head." I'm like, "That's what they told me. I don't know. I don't remember anything." And you know, like, what a godsend. Like, I was struggling, and you were exactly what I needed, because you didn't show me any pity or anything, and that's what I needed. You were just like, "So what's going on?" Like, you know, like just there to hang out, and I was like, I needed that so bad.
It was never the little lady at I remember when I walked in there, because it was right height of COVID in that the front end of it, right? And I walk in, they're sitting there at the thing, and they're kind of looking at you like, "Well, why are you walking in the hospital?" I'm like, "Well, come here to see Jonathan." Well, you just, I mean, but it was, no, I'm going to see him. Like, this is it, you know? Like, where's your card? You're a pastor? Where's your card? I don't have a card. Do you have a card? You're the attendant. Do you have your card? No, it's like, not a card. This is my guy. That's where I'm going, you know, period.
Yeah, what'd you pull out? Pastoral something?
Yeah, it says you're in our membership, you're a congregation. It's like, this is my guy. Like, we're going to see. He's sitting up there by himself, and that's not acceptable. So this is where we're going.
It was awesome, man. Like, I just got told I have stage 4 brain cancer, and you and I are joking and laughing in the ICU. You know, like, no one else, I think, would have been doing that. But
no. So what's it like? So, I mean, you get your life put back together, okay? And this is where it just take some of the humor out of it, because just like this morning, I know I want to make you there on, because I want, just like this morning, you're like, yeah, I'll try to be there, but I gotta go get my hair cut first, right? It's like, okay, yeah, ha ha,
I did.
I know. It took all of 2 minutes or 2 seconds, but needless to say, it's like you go from, this is the path I'm on. I've screwed all up. I've done all this. I've wasted all this time. Here's where I'm going.
Yeah.
And then, bam, God, like, really? You gotta be kidding me. Like, what, why, you know, kind of the, why, I mean, I'm sure you've had some of those why me moments.
Yeah.
You might be having one this morning, but, how have you navigated through that? Like, what's that feel like?
I do come across this a lot, mainly because there's a string of questions that everyone asks, and that's one of them, obviously. And it's mainly been like, why are you so happy? And I'm like, what reasons do I have to not be happy? And you're like, you have brain cancer. And I'm like, okay, you're going through a divorce. Like, you know, like, we all have our own cross to bear. Mine's different. You know, I'm going through brain cancer, but this has been the best 2 years of my life. I've developed relationships with people that are actually meaningful, not just people that are there when I'm running up a bar tab. And I've learned so much in the past 2 years, just like from the relationships that I've had. They didn't all end well, but I've learned from them. And no, I don't know. It's just, I just stay happy. Like, I try not to stress about brain cancer, because, you know, I just try to, I think a lot of it's from my brother and from you. It's always, you and my brother have always just been like, just handle what's in front of you. You can't change the past. You can only work on, like,
where your feet are.
You can't fix what you've done. You can only fix what's going forward.
Yeah.
So, and I've never treated it like something terminal. And that's been a difficult thing to face with people outside. It's just from day one, it's been like, all right, what's next? What do we do next? It's never been like, all right, what do we do before we die? No, it's just like, keep grinding.
Yeah.
You know, I've had to come to terms with it's out of my hands. And that's where the spiritual comes in for me. You know, I've told people, like, when they're asking me about it, like, if, like, I've got it because I can handle it. It hasn't like torn me down at all. It hasn't dragged me down. I've been through worse. Like, I can handle brain cancer. I got through addiction. This is going to be a cakewalk. I woke up sick for 10 years. So, my brother sees me like throwing up in the morning. He's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Rock on, man." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, like big bro style. Like, that's what I need." Like, I hate people that like show me pity. Yeah. Because like I'm good. This is a cakewalk, man.
Yeah. Well, it's the thing is when we choose how to view our circumstances of life, right? Like we can't control what happens to us, but how we view it and how we respond what happens to us, that's what we can the only thing we can control is how we respond what happens to us.
Yeah.
We can't control what happens to us, right? We may be a cause of it, but we really can only control how we respond.
Yeah.
And that was here. I do want to ask you though, so because it kind of pissed me off, I'll be honest with you. Well, not kind of pissed me off. It really pissed me off, right? If I'm just being honest, right? Because I think it was a little, I won't say selfish, because selfish is a strong word when I'm talking to a guy that's got brain cancer, but I won't pretend I'm not. And it was,
we all have our own cross to bear.
I know, but I'm just saying, Mark, it'd be pretty interesting to see how, if I need some forgiveness in here in this, but so a couple weeks ago, your Vision Warriors came back to an alumni meeting, you're sharing, and you had received some very disturbing news. Okay. And I think you were an ass is what I'm going to say, because you didn't let anybody know what was going. You were going to carry that burden all by yourself because you didn't want to affect anyone else's emotion or make anyone else feel sad for you or upset or bothered by what you had heard.
I knew I'd regret telling you.
Yeah. Well, because the thing is why I say that, and I don't say that in a negative way that you're doing something wrong. I know why you did it, and you already made mention to it in the first part of the show here, was that you don't want to hurt people around you because of what you're going through. This isn't something that you chose or something you're choosing, like your addiction.
Right.
Right. Like you got to separate yourself from the pain you caused people when you were maliciously doing things to you're battling stage 4 brain cancer, buddy. Right. When you get news that's not what you want to hear, you need to let those that love you and support you around you know so they can help carry that burden for you and pray for you.
And that's why I told my brothers at VW.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm rehashing it with you now.
Yeah.
Is so if it's just a bad day or it's just whatever it is so that it doesn't get you beat down to where you feel like you got to do this by yourself. Because it was a misunderstanding. What was it there?
So I've had pretty aggressive brain cancer from the get-go. It took, I think, a year before I got a solid, good MRI. So I'm notorious for pulling the records before I have my post-ops, and I've been told not to do that by multiple doctors. So I keep doing it. And I had an MRI, and I don't know why they scheduled it like this. I've had a lot of scheduling issues, but my neurosurgeon was out of town for the next week right after my MRI. So, of course, I pulled the post-op papers again and read into it. And, sorry.
It's all right. We'll give you an excuse. We'll brain cancer. Yeah.
Yeah. But, so, and I can't say the word, nor do I remember it. Brain cancer. But, there's this like microbial,
something.
Yeah. Once cancer gets to this like microbial form and infects the blood, it's basically, they give you like two options. Like you can suffer for 6 months and treat it, or you can enjoy the next 3 weeks. And those are your two options once it gets to that point. And, I don't know. I wasn't talking to my doctor. This is all me reading my post-op.
Yeah.
And, I had to process that. And I've already been having trouble with my mom worrying about me. I already put her through 20 years of hell. And my brother's worried about me and taking care of me, and he's already done it for 20 years. And so I'm just kind of sitting there thinking, like, it's been a rough 2 years, like being sick every day and, taking pity every day from people that I don't need. But now I had to sit there with that decision, like, all right, the jig is up. What do I do? And I know what my mom would say. I know what my brother would say. But I think I was at that point where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this for 6 months. If it's already over, what's the point of being miserable? And I didn't want to spend the next 3 weeks of my life taking pity or being miserable or making other people miserable or watching my mom hurt, And so I just wore it and I didn't tell anyone. And I just sat in that darkness of thinking this is my last 3 weeks to live. And and knowing I'm not going to tell anyone because I don't want to be treated differently in my last 3 weeks. I just want to have fun. I want to go to work. I want to go to VW meetings. I want to hang out with my nephews. I just want a normal life,
Yeah.
And fast forward a week later, my radiation oncologist gets back in town, and first thing on the meeting, I'm like, "Oh, how was vacay, bro?" And he's like, I'm sorry," and he was like, "Please tell me you didn't read into your post-op this time." And I'm like, "Okay, I didn't read into my post-op this time." And he's been dealing with me for 2 years at this point, so he knows me. And he's like, "All right, so it showed some growth on the tumor, like another millimeter, which is big when you have a brain the size of mine, because I'm a genius."
That's even after they removed some of it, right?
Yeah. They put a hole out, and there's still not a lot of room in there.
Yeah.
But so yeah, even though it's a centimeter or whatever or millimeter, it's big in comparison. And he was like, "Listen, this was a new tech. He measured the wrong parts of the tumor. I actually remeasured it and found that it's a millimeter smaller. And not only is it smaller, it's the brain necrosis from radiation. When you have too much radiation, your brain starts to necrode. And so they've been tracking this necrosis because in the beginning, they didn't know if it was active disease or necrosis.
Got you.
And so I was actually getting ready to go back into surgery to biopsy it. But they ended up not doing that because they determined from a different type of MRI that it is necrosis.
Gotcha.
And not the active disease. So anyway, he's like, yeah, so it's getting smaller and it's not whatever that long term is for the micro infection or whatever. And
so the note to
I'm gonna have to rewind a little bit because the night before my post-op, I finally broke down. I held it together while hiding all this all week, and I think my brother, he kind of was on to something was going on because he would stop me and be like, "What's going on? Like, you okay?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good," just wouldn't tell him. And I think he just, I was kind of talking to him more and like hanging around, so you could kind of tell something was going on. But that night before the post-op, I dropped down on my knees, and I've been praying every day. But I dropped down on my knees, and I was like, talking to God, and I was like, this is not like a last chance call. Like a lot of people turn to God, when they think it's over. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is not, that. I've been talking to you every day, but if you could somehow just make this not the end, I will get back to work. Like I'll get in the gym. I won't use chemo as an excuse. I'll get back to Vision Wares. I'll help whoever I can. I'll reach out. And so when the doctor told me, that's not what it is at all, and I was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, now you gotta get back to work.
I kind of made some
Promises.
promises.
Oh, we got you now.
Yeah, I'm already crunched as it is. So I was like, that's that next Thursday. I was at VW, and you called me out, which I was gonna fly under the radar, not speak.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
No, you called me out right off the bat, and I was like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. The thing is when you look at it is that we can always make excuses, right? My dad's always told me is like, it doesn't matter if I'm viewing it as a problem. I'm just looking at it different because there's somebody that would love to have that opportunity because whatever they're in is worse. And now look, granted, from where I'm sitting this morning and where you're sitting, right, is that, it's like, oh man, you can't say that to him like that. No, it's like, I know, granted, I don't have some of the struggles that you have today, but man, been around the hospital and all the doctor's office, all that, a list of people that would be more than happy to have what you have or have the condition you have because the one they've had has already been fatal or it doesn't, it's like, it's that the perspective that we have. And that's not to minimize anything you're going through at all, but it's like anybody that's watching this, life may suck right now. Or it may be challenging, but there's somebody somewhere that would be looking at that circumstance and be like, man, I'll take that. Give me that.
Absolutely. That's been a crazy thing to process too. Like, I got sober and I'm 2 years into sobriety and I'm finally living. Like, I didn't even know what happiness was before this. And I'm finally living and things are going too good. I think you and I were still like having breakfast every Tuesday and doing some work together. And like I was doing some work at VW and stuff like that. And then all that stuff happened. And I had all these dreams of success and big house and cars and money. And now I just want to be healthy. Like I don't care about the rest. I get just like time with my family and my nephews and even the tripod.
Yeah.
And so like it's crazy to put in perspective and people stress out about the dumbest things. And like I could do without if I could just be healthy and take that stress away from my family.
Yeah, man.
But
so obviously that's a extremely cattywampus moment or series of moments in your life. What are 2 or 3 things that you're doing today that you weren't doing 3-4 years ago that's helping you maintain that mindset and that to stay balanced in amongst all this chaos and
Yeah. Well, I have to pray every day. And it's not the typical prayers you would think. Because the first prayer I do is to not be selfish today. Because everything in my past that was bad was all self-serving. So I pray for that and for patience. Because I'm probably the least patient man in the world. Next to my brother and my father. And that sets a tone for the day. If I can get those 2 things in my mind, then the rest kind of falls into place. And I kind of developed a routine, and I'm known at work for my rosaries because I kind of mix them up and match them to what I'm wearing. Yeah. And it's just kind of a thing. To me, they mean a lot. Like everyone's like, "Are you Catholic?" I'm like, "No, but I like those guys. They drink." But no, and I'm like, "No, I wear this just to like I use the beads, like they do Mother Mary's or whatever. Or like I do it like each one of the things I wear like is something special to me. Like I've got a Batman on here for my brother, and I even have like a white rosary that for Lauren, and I use those like for when I'm anxious, like and even the rosary, like each bead I've like dedicated to someone in my family. and I pray for something for them, even some ex-girlfriends, for their happiness, even though it's not with me. But no, it helps me, like, because I was already suffering from like severe anxiety and depression, and the drugs that I'm on for chemo, like the main side effect is severe depression and anxiety. And I'm like, cool, just double down on it, you know? So that's been a roller coaster. And, you know, and then chemo, like my initial chemo, the intravenous chemo, like shut down my adrenal glands, my liver, my kidneys. I mean, that was a whole ride, another ICU trip. So all the hormones to fight off anxiety and depression, like, weren't even being produced anymore. So it's been a trip. And
so your double D's, your daily disciplines then that you're doing, right? You like that? The double D's?
Double D's,
the double D's, baby. Prayer.
yeah,
But it's not so much prayer for you. It's almost prayer of service to others.
it is definitely, yeah. I have to set that mindset to get out of myself for the day.
Yeah.
Or else I will slip all day. I'll go back into old habits and I'll self-serve.
Yeah.
So I can't do it. I try to pray for everyone else to set that mindset for the day. I'm tired. I'm irritable. The chemo makes me tired. The anti-seizure meds give me, like, they call it like Keppra rage or something. I don't know. It makes me irritable and angry, which I'm already irritable and angry. So I've got to pray for patience.
But the one thing is they've removed some of your brain so you forget when you act that way. So
It's absolutely
yeah,
true.
it's like, what are you talking about? I didn't say that, do you? Right?
Yeah, rewatching movies is always a trip for
Oh
me
man,
now.
dude, you're not right, man. It's like you're like Netflix's nightmare, huh?
Yeah,
You're like,
no.
it's like you just got 3 VHS tapes at the house. Is what you're saying?
Oh no, like it's great. Like, I was new to the single market again, which is a tricky situation.
When you're
Second
dating
date
an old
drop.
girlfriend, yeah.
Like, hey, by the way, I have brain cancer. But no, I got caught up because I went to the same movie like 3 times and didn't realize it until she saw like the record on my account. I was like, it was new to me every time.
Yeah. Well, dude, I the one thing I admire the most about you is we kind of wrap this down. Is your willingness to, some of it I think is humor to deflect a serious conversation with some, but some of us like me, we'll let you laugh, but then we're gonna have a real conversation. Like when the cameras go off today, we'll still, if you stay for lunch,
We can do it now. I still got stories.
I hear you. But the one thing that I do really value in the way that you've navigated the last couple of years is you haven't lost your sense of humor. And not trying to really hide behind all the pain, because those that know you know what's going on, but you're wanting to enjoy the day that you have. And it's the day that God's given you and you're enjoying it, and not letting the struggles just beat you down every day. I know it does some days, but the one thing before we have you close down, I do want you, what's the one thing that you would say to someone that's going through this and navigating through it, staying sober and navigating through the screw it, life's over, like in a 30-second take on deal, how have you maintained that mindset that no, I'm gonna live today for today, I'm not worried about tomorrow? How have you done that?
I finally relinquished control. I had a mental reset that it's not up to me. Everything that's going to happen is already set. Like, if I got brain cancer so that one of my nephews never has to suffer, I'm okay with that. You know, to be honest with you, probably running short of time. I have another story that I'll tell you that kind of made me realize it's not up to me, and made me get back to work. And that's the main thing, is prayer, relinquishing the self, like, and yeah, just knowing it's already set. I'll probably go from Red Bull overdose before I do brain cancer. So If we can get a sponsorship out of that.
Yeah, the Red Bull, if you're watching, we do get the sponsorship.
If I get through this thing, Red Bull might be the cure.
Yeah, Red Bull might be. Well, if you could do me a favor and look right at this camera. It's still going, isn't it? This one is still for certain? It didn't cut off? Okay, perfect. If you look right at this camera right here, and for someone that's right where you are, or they're sitting in that hospital room getting that diagnosis, what would you tell them, and what would you want to share with them so that they can experience the freedom that you found through this? And not looking at me when you're doing it. And this isn't any humor. This is for the guy that thinks that, man, I'm gonna die.
Okay.
And this sucks. I've done all this, and why in the hell is this happening to me? All those feelings you're feeling, what would you want to speak to them so they could get and experience what you've experienced the last 2 years?
I would probably say the same thing that I had to finally realize. Like, don't worry. It's already been determined. So, if you're not practicing spiritual fitness, it's probably a good time to start. Whether you've got something going on or not. Because if I wasn't spiritually fit when this all happened, I wouldn't have made it through. I would have turned to the bottle and probably been dead before I even had a chance to fight. So I'm grateful for the changes that God has made in my life. And if you're struggling with a way to reach out to Him, call me. Call Vision Warriors. I know 40 guys that would love to help you out and show you the way. And that's about it.
Dude, I love you, man. I'm super grateful for your willingness to be transparent and honest today. But I'm more grateful for your friendship. And the thing that I want to share with you, leave with you, is that I never give you pity, right? So you don't have to ever keep anything from me. You don't have to bear anything by yourself. Because if you called me up and said, hey, tomorrow's my last day, I'll say, well, what the heck are we doing today then? Like, it's like it's not there. So I never want you to feel like you're never going to burden me by any or by any perceived burden or pain that you think that what you've got going on, that you've earned that, where I want to be part of that life with you. So I'm grateful for you, man. And it's going to resonate. So if you've watched this today, we just hope that you share this with someone that's struggling. Yeah. And someone that this can give a sense of hope and purpose, and that even through the battle, you can find peace and serenity and joy and serve others. And you've done that well, brother.
Yeah. I appreciate you. And when I made that promise to God that night before my post-op, and I said, like, I'm not going to hold anything back. I'll reach out. I'll put in some work. I actually reached out to a friend who I haven't seen in 18 years, probably.
Yeah.
And she almost kind of broke down and told me what's going on with her. And I was like, well, I'd love to hang out with you and talk. And she was like, okay, but just so you know, I don't drink. And I'm like, me too. Yeah, it's fine. And I've seen in just the 2 or 3 weeks that we've been going to meetings together and going to church together, I've seen her life already turning around. And so, like, I'm grateful too, because helps me, being able to be a pillar for other people. Yeah, man. Like you were for me. So, I'm grateful to be here today.
No, man, you're just giving away what's been given to you. That's all we got to do.
You have to.
That's the only way we can keep it. Thanks for watching this week. Tune back in next week for another great episode of Cattywampus.